Right, here we go. Day one on my road trip of Scotland. Been planning on doing this for years, just never really got round to it. I've got to admit, I've really picked the weather for it. It's just drizzle, mist. What more can Scotland offer? So my first destination's in Inverness. I'm planning on going there, seeing what there is, and especially go to Culloden battlefield. Something I want to find out there. So, we've arrived at Culloden battlefield. 1746. It happened. Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Jacobite army against the English and a lot of the Scots. What had happened was, if he became king, he would kill all the Protestants, or he would hang them. So, of course, not all Scotsmen were alongside Charlie. So he marched his Jacobite army all the way from Scotland through the heather and all the hills and everything like that. I can't remember how many days it was, but after several days, they eventually arrived where the English were waiting for them, already fed, they were ready, they were waiting, ready to go. The field at the time was like a big marsh, a big bog, so of course there was, not only did you have the heather, but it was like a swamp at the same time. And Charlie thought it would be a good idea to charge his men on the same day as they arrived. Actually, it may have just been a few seconds after they'd arrived. So by the time they'd gotten to about halfway across the battlefield, they must have been completely knackered, and therefore wiped out instantly. After the defeat of the Jacobite army, the English government banned the use of bagpipes, they banned the use of the tartan, and they even banned the use of the language. Charlie, however, after his defeat, decided to flee. And Charlie fled the country as a stowaway on a board a vessel dressed as a scullery maid. Walking along the path, you'll see the stones of the clans who fought alongside Charlie. But as I went around, I didn't see the Mackays. So I have a feeling I know which side they were on. Anyway, let's move on. I am currently sitting on one of the islands below Inverness. The Ness Islands, to be exact. Peaceful streams, people walking, great day for it. Why not? If you're ever looking for peace and tranquility, I think I found it. I've had a lot of people worried that the fact I'm doing this trip alone. Well, don't you worry, I've got a friend. Well, that's me arrived at the last destination for the day, just outside Drumnadrocket. So I've gotten facilities, which is fine, and thinking might have an early night for an early rise. I've got a lot to see tomorrow, so yeah, I might go and do that. But anyway, it's almost nightfall, so good night, and I'll see you in the morning. Morning's arrived, and it's absolutely freezing. So, it's just after 7. So first things first, get some breakfast. Hopefully a warm breakfast. and a hut, definitely a hut. So, let's move. I'll be honest with you, I think this is one of the best sights I've seen in a long time. I've taken a bit of a detour from my road trip. Well, it's still part of it, but rather than just go down the west hand side, I've gone further left and ended up in a place called Mallaig. Now, there's a lot of history here, and by the looks of it, it's a fishing town. I could be wrong, but a lot of people come here to see the agriculture and everything like that. My excuse is probably because my favourite song of the bagpipes is Steam Train to Mallaig, and thus I wanted to check it out. So here I am. Now, the last destination of the day, Stirling. You'll soon see why. You can probably tell by my location, but I am in a room. Hotel to be exact. And the simple reason for that is I booked it ages ago. But also it's really going to help with my back, because I have a feeling that when the airbed went down last night, it put me at an angle, well, if you want to call it that, and it's put my back into a bit of mischief. So, I'm here. So hopefully I get about a night's sleep, and then I'll be able to actually do things properly. I think I'm going to be stopping for tonight. There's... Well, put it like this. The rain is just stoating it down, and I'm not going to be able to see anything. Not clear anyway. I'm planning on heading to Bannockburn, but I think I'm going to do that first thing tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to carry on with the journey. So, Wednesday morning. It's a lot better than what it was yesterday, although a lot of surface water, so I'm going to have to be careful. But first place I'm heading to now is Bannockburn, and learn a little more of our history. So, without further ado, let's go. And behind me here is where Robert the Bruce stood with the Scottish, and over in that distance stood the English for the Battle of Bannockburn. And as I said, behind me is where King Edward II and the English stood. I was sent them back down that way to think again. until they come back in 1746 and kick the crap out of us. But enough about that. It's time for battle. I've now landed in Kelso, which is just near the border, I think. Yeah, I think it is. Kelso used to be an old marketplace back in the times of Henry VIII and things like that. And as far as I'm aware, it's still got the cobblestones and everything like that. You get a real sort of stereotypical market. Let's go and have a look. They couldn't understand my accent. Just had to do an emergency stop, and that's the reason why. It is a Scottish road trip after all. Back to it. After about 2 hours driving back from the border and stuck in congestion on the road to Edinburgh to Glasgow, I've arrived at my resting place for tonight. So I'm gonna go get myself sorted and get something to eat, possibly in that order. So for this morning, it's brightened up a fair bit. The clouds are starting to part. So today's trip is actually just one where I'm going to be looking about the town for the day. I think I've had enough of driving for a little while, so I'm going to be heading to the borough of Eden. Sounds exotic, right? Taking a little bit of a detour before I head to Edinburgh. I'd never actually been to the Falkirk Wheel before, so I just decided, since I'm in the area, why not? It said in the signpost that there was a fort used to stand here, and I was expecting a sort of a ruin or something like that, but this is all I've got. If you're ever interested in coming to see this place, head to the Falkirk Wheel and take the forest walk, and you'll end up here. Right. I've currently stopped off in Edinburgh simply because the past couple of days I've been driving a hell of a lot. So I'm going to be staying in Edinburgh and just give myself a break from driving because I've got a long drive back tomorrow, especially going up through the major cities, up through the north, up to the north, sorry. So yeah, I will come back and let you know where I'm heading to next tomorrow morning. Just a way to leave Edinburgh. Got 2 last stops and then it's back home. So first stop, I'm going to Perth. I have now arrived on the grounds of Scone Palace. Spelt Scone, but not to be pronounced that way. And as we can see, it's a fairly big place. There's 100 acres of ground I have to check out. So without further ado, I'm here standing next to the Stone of Destiny, where a wild peacock remains guard. I'm going to head down one of the paths that leads into the forest. I've been told there's something that will amaze. I really have selective hearing. It's actually a maze. Finally, centre of the maze. And that's my prize. The water goddess. And now, onto my final destination of the trip, Newport. And then after that, back home. I've managed to arrive in Newport. And pretty much the only reason I've come here is because I can get a full view of the city of Dundee. I don't know why it's a significance to me, but something in the back of my mind wanted to see the city for itself. Now I can understand that a lot of people might not, as I said, see the significance, but I wanted to see it. Home at last. Well, I fair enjoyed it. I have absolutely enjoyed this. 5 days away. I would have done more, but time isn't always on your side, so but I'm glad I've done what I did. I am thinking about going up north now, instead of going west from Inverness, to go directly up, maybe up to Wick, Thurso, John O'Groats. That's just what I'm thinking. But for now, I'm happy. I've started my road trip. And now I'm back. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Thanks for coming with me, and I'll see you in the next trip. Bye. So, we've arrived at Culloden battlefield. They're there. They're green. When I said I was on a trip to go and see Scotland's greenery, I didn't really mean this. If you ever come along this road, there's free roaming goats. Not sheep, goats. With several trying to headbutt the car, so I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful. While I was coming back, I didn't actually realise that part of the place was waterlogged. It actually said on the signs, and I didn't see them until I went back. Learn from my mistakes.